Dams in the Columbia River Basin provide clean, renewable, reliable, flexible, and efficient hydropower. Navigation locks on the lower Columbia and Snake Rivers help transport about 10 million tons of cargo each year. Dams also prevent flooding and provide outdoor water-based recreation opportunities. But dams have also had an impact on fish. While not the only cause of declines in fish populations, dams have altered adult salmon and steelhead migration upstream from the ocean and juvenile fish migration pathways downstream to the ocean. To make dams more transparent to fish, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has completely overhauled its dams and pioneered some of the most advanced fish research in the world.
The Corps uses adaptive management. Adaptive management basically means that as we get new information, we go back and relook at our policies and decide whether there's an adjustment that should be made that would benefit survival of salmon better.
To save the salmon, the Corps has partnered with the National Marine Fisheries Service and Bonneville Power Administration.
The National Marine Fisheries Service oversees recovery of listed salmon species. They took on that responsibility from the state management agencies when these salmon and steelhead became listed under the Endangered Species Act.
It's a complex effort with many components. Salmon and steelhead begin their life cycle in spawning grounds within the rivers and streams of the Snake and Columbia River Basin. After initial rearing in freshwater, juvenile fish migrate downstream to the Pacific Ocean where they grow rapidly in salt water. After spending up to 5 years in the ocean, salmon and steelhead return to their river of origin as mature adults, ready to spawn and start a new generation. A strong instinctual drive takes adult fish on a difficult journey upriver to the stream where they were hatched. Fish ladders allow adults to move upstream by reducing water speeds and providing more manageable in-river jump heights. Resting pools also help them move around the dams that otherwise would block their path. Upon arriving in their birthplace, adult fish spawn and then die, passing their legacy to offspring juveniles born in the same spawning ground as their parents. Juvenile salmon and steelhead rear in streams for months or years before beginning their journey downstream to the ocean. The Corps and other federal and state agencies have focused significant efforts on improving survival rates of juvenile fish as they migrate downstream over and through dams on the Snake and Columbia rivers. The good news is those efforts have led to about 96% of juvenile fish, on average, successfully passing each core dam on the Lower Snake River and at McNary Dam on the Columbia River. There are 4 ways for juvenile fish to pass through or over a dam: spillway passage, spillway weir passage, turbine passage, or fish collection and bypass system. Innovative efforts by the Corps to improve survival rates include design of additional passage or modifications to an existing passage route to improve fish survival. Some of these improvements are juvenile fish collection and bypass system, fish tagging, new spillway weirs, downstream transportation around dams, water temperature management, and fish-friendly hydropower turbines. The federal strategy to increase juvenile fish migration survival rates has everything to do with helping the fish avoid risks inherent in dam operations. If juvenile fish swim downstream through the dam and hydropower turbines, they risk a higher mortality rate. They enter the dam's powerhouse from the upstream side, flowing through the turbine intake, and then into the turbine environment, where pressures and other hazards can be fatal to fish before they reach the dam tail race and continue downstream. To help fish avoid going through the turbine environment, the Corps developed a complex but effective fish collection system that helps juveniles bypass the hazards of swimming through the turbine area. Juvenile fish collection starts with extended-length bar screens on the upstream side of the dam. Those screens prevent fish from entering the turbine intake. They guide fish upward through gate wells to submerged orifices where fish are attracted by light to a collection channel, and then swim into a large conduit pipe and flume. The fish are then directed to either a juvenile bypass outfall out into the river or into raceways for transportation by truck or barge downstream. In the juvenile fish facility next to the dam, juvenile fish are weighed, measured, and tagged to study their migration patterns downstream to the ocean, plus their eventual return upstream to spawn a new generation. This monitoring helps the Corps of Engineers count the number of fish surviving and returning as adults. Some tagged juveniles are put back in the river. Others are loaded onto transportation barges or trucks for a ride downstream past all remaining dams. Special spillway weirs help juveniles avoid hydropower turbines by providing a readily accessible route from the surface water where they are traveling. Before spillway weirs were developed and put in place, juvenile fish approaching the dam needed to sound or dive to about 50 feet to pass either a spillway gate or enter a turbine intake. This delayed their migration and also consumed valuable food energy, which can affect overall condition of the fish. To improve juvenile fish survival as they pass over the spillway, the Corps developed dam spillway weirs to allow fish to flow over the top of the spillway without diving deep. Benefits include less stress on fish as they search for a passage route, quicker fish passage using less flow, and continuous in-river passage rather than passing through turbulent or variable flow areas. A key effort is the Corps' Juvenile Fish Downstream Transportation Program. To avoid hazards, juveniles are collected at juvenile fish facilities at dams on the Snake and Columbia rivers. Then they're barged or trucked downstream and released below Bonneville Dam, the last dam downstream on the Columbia. Dworshak Dam in Idaho provides cooling water to help fish downstream survive in hot weather. And the Corps is developing fish-friendly turbines to improve juvenile survival. Adaptive fish management and fish recovery efforts have helped. Juvenile fish survival at Corps dams has improved dramatically in recent years. Adult steelhead and Chinook salmon have been returning upstream in record numbers. Today's increasing fish numbers reflect extensive efforts.
There's never an end to making improvements. However, we feel that we've done very well for the listed species. We're doing performance standard testing. It's been underway for the last couple of years on the lower Columbia, and it will be initiated here in 2012 on the Snake River. That means that basically our juvenile survival is meeting the benchmarks that were identified in the biological opinion written by the National Marine Fisheries Service.
Corps efforts to save the salmon are working. The Corps plans to build on this success.